Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a deep dive into one of the most iconic characters in pop culture, the Hulk. He's been smashing his way through comics, movies, and TV shows for decades, and I think there's something about him that connects with everybody on some level, maybe more than we even realize. And to help us explore all that, we have our expert in all things pop culture.
It's great to be here. Yeah, the Hulk is a really fascinating character. I mean, he embodies this kind of universal internal struggle, like how do we deal with all those raw emotions we all have, those chaotic feelings?
Right, it's like the classic Jekyll and Hyde story, but with gamma radiation thrown in.
Yeah.
You have this brilliant, very controlled Bruce Banner on one side, and then, bam, out comes this embodiment of just pure, unbridled rage, the Hulk. Why do you think that resonates with people so much?
It's like you said, it's so universal. We all have that voice inside us, that urge to just let go sometimes, like just completely lose it. The Hulk's almost like we can see that struggle visualized, right? And it can be pretty scary, but it can also be kind of exhilarating, just like our own emotions.
Totally, like that scene in The Avengers where he just picks up Loki and slams him around like a rag doll. It's intense, kind of scary even,
Yeah,
but you can't help but laugh a little too. It's like the humor makes it work somehow.
exactly. That's what makes him so interesting. It's that mix of like pure power and then this weird sense of humor, being terrifying but hilarious at the same time. He's not your typical good guy, because he doesn't always have things under control.
Yeah, and that's real, right? Like, who is always perfectly in control? We're all a mix of contradictions. And it's interesting because in some Hulk stories, like Hulk, The Last Titan, you see that there's more to it than just mindless rage. It's like there's actual trauma that's part of his story. Bruce Banner becoming the Hulk. It's not just physical, right? It's like all his pain is coming out. What do you think about that?
It adds so much depth to him. It goes way beyond the Hulk smash. It makes you think about what's behind the anger. Like, sometimes the hardest emotions we have are rooted in things that happen to us, hurt that we carry. And sometimes dealing with that can take a lifetime.
It makes you think everybody has Hulk moments. Maybe you don't turn green. But those times when you're just overwhelmed by anger or frustration or sadness, like that's kind of relatable.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing about Hulk, even with all the smashing, is that his story is actually about something positive. It's about learning to accept and manage those feelings, even the really tough ones.
So it's not about pretending those feelings aren't there. It's about figuring out where they come from and finding a good way to handle them.
Exactly. It's just like Bruce Banner learning to accept both sides of himself. The scientist, the Hulk, it's all part of who he is. And he finds real strength when he brings those totally different parts of himself together.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, we all have things about ourselves we try to hide.
Yeah.
That's stuff we're afraid people will judge us for. But what if we could, like Bruce Banner, just accept it all?
It's the journey of self-acceptance, and it never really ends. Like, the Hulk is always evolving, and we are too. Recognizing that, even when it's messy, that's part of being human, right?
It's kind of crazy to think that even after all these years, the Hulk is still so relevant.
Yeah, he really is. I think it's because no matter what's happening in the world, his struggles just resonate. It's like he gives a voice to that feeling of being overwhelmed, like you've got all this intense stuff bottled up inside and you don't know what to do with it.
It's not only the rage, though, is it? There's this real vulnerability to him, too. It's like he's always searching for a connection, for someone to accept him, just like all of us, I guess.
Totally. Remember how Bruce Banner is always trying to find a cure? Like to get rid of the Hulk for good? I think that shows how much he just wants to be loved for who he is, not feared for what happens when he loses control.
Makes you think about how hard we are on ourselves, doesn't it? Like, we all have those parts of ourselves we try to hide because we're scared people will reject us if they saw the whole picture.
That's such a human thing to be afraid of. And I think that's the beauty of the Hulk. He embodies that fear, that struggle for acceptance. But exactly. It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The Hulk's journey is all about learning to integrate those parts of himself that he initially saw as weaknesses. And as he goes through that process, he becomes more powerful, more resilient. It's like he's proof that we can overcome our inner demons and come out the other side even stronger.
I love that. It's so much deeper than just a typical superhero story. It's about confronting the darkness inside us and learning to be okay with it.
And that's why it's such a powerful metaphor for personal growth. It's not about erasing the so-called bad parts of ourselves. It's about understanding them, accepting them, and eventually making them a part of who we are.
So instead of seeing the Hulk as this separate thing, Bruce Banner starts to see him as a part of himself, a part that needs to be understood and managed, not feared or rejected.
You got it. And that's why the Professor Hulk arc in Avengers Endgame is so important. It's like the peak of his journey towards self-acceptance. He finally combines his intelligence with his strength and becomes this whole integrated being.
It's like he finally finds that inner peace he's been searching for all along.
Exactly. And it shows us that it's possible to find that balance within ourselves too, to embrace every part of who we are and find a way to make those different parts work together.
It's like he's saying, hey, we don't have to be defined by our anger or our fears. We can choose to use them as fuel for growth and transformation.
I love that. And I think that's ultimately what makes the Hulk such an enduring and inspiring figure. He reminds us that we're all capable of change, of overcoming our inner demons, and of becoming something greater than we ever thought possible.
I'm honestly blown away by how much depth there is to this character. He's so much more than just this big green rage monster.
He really is, and that's why he continues to fascinate us, to challenge us, and to inspire us. He's like a mirror reflecting our own inner complexities. And his journey reminds us that we're all on a path towards self-discovery and growth.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I see the Hulk in a whole new light now. What would you say is the biggest takeaway for our listeners who might be dealing with their own Hulk moments?
I'd say embrace those moments. Don't shy away from your anger, your sadness, your fear. Those emotions are a part of you, and they have something to teach you. Explore them, understand them, and see how they can lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself.
That's such a powerful message. It's not about suppressing those emotions, but about learning to listen to them and letting them guide us towards growth.
Precisely. And remember, even the Hulk, with all his rage and power, eventually finds a way to achieve peace and integration. It's a reminder that even when we feel like we're at war with ourselves, there's always hope for healing and wholeness.
That's a really beautiful thought. You know, listening to you, it really hits me that the Hulk story is all about transformation.
Yeah, that's a great point. He never stays the same. He's pushing past limits, changing, and in the end, becoming a more complete version of himself.
It's like he's saying, don't be afraid to get out of that comfort zone. Push your boundaries. Become more than you thought you could be.
It's a powerful message. It reminds us that we can all grow and change no matter what's in our way.
It's like the Hulk gives us permission to unleash our potential, to be okay with our strengths, and use them to make the world better.
And that's kind of what being a hero is about, right? Using your power, whatever that is for you, to make things better, to fight for what's right, to inspire other people.
I love that. So as we're wrapping up our Hulk deep dive here,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you hope people take away from all this?
I'd say it's this. Embrace your own inner Hulk. Be okay with the complicated parts of yourself, the contradictions, even the things you think are flaws. Those things are what make you you. And they make you strong.
Don't be afraid to smash through those walls that are holding you back.
Exactly. Unleash what you've got inside. Embrace the journey you're on and never stop growing.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us.
It was my pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
And for everyone listening, we hope this deep dive gave you a new way of looking at the Hulk and the powerful lessons he has for all of us.
Keep smashing those challenges. Keep changing and growing, and never forget how strong you are.
And remember, that incredible power, you have it in you too. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the Hulk.